Hi there and welcome to Bustthenet. On today's show, we've got another Gamechanger episode. This time, Thomas has sent us his save featuring Lecce, and he's done pretty well. Lecce right now are a pretty decent side. They are third in the Serie A, expected to finish in the Champions League spots, which makes them a contender for the title, in my opinion. So the question here is, how do we get them to get some consistency? And also make them into a title winning squad side. I'm looking at your training. Certain things I noticed about your training. You've downloaded some training programs. Now, one thing you definitely want to do is you want to make sure that you have a rest period after a game. So this is something I recommend you do. Here you see there's a match you play against Genoa, then travel overall outfield. Defending white, travel, match preview, Red Bull Isaac, overall training, and then here rest. I know you have rest. You need to try and give your players enough rest between players in matches, and you also want to manage the intensity if you can. So if you want to do it like this, then manage the intensity. So go into a game when you're playing a heavy game. Then the next day, what you do is you lower the intensity. For example, if you don't change the training schedule, that's one of the things I would suggest. So I looked at the training schedule, quite a number of them on double intensity, but if you go to the medical recommendations, you gotta be careful. Like this guy Sofian Jupe, he's not a bad player. Recommended to have half intensity, very high injury risk with a recurring injury of a tight groin. So if you wanted to play a certain system, he might not be available. But I noticed if he's only made two appearances for you, uh, it means that in cases like this where they don't make a lot of appearances, where you find keep them at double intensity. But it all depends on the tactics you're using. So you want to manage your training loads. Like you got Titacchio, his workload is heavy, double intensity with average workload, so he's perfectly fine. The reason why he's heavy is because he's working on a focus. You remove this focus, will drop to medium. This is one way people can try and manage training sessions. Now, how have you done so far? Well, you sent me the save. You've had like 4 friendlies in the season. I was looking for consistency, like what have you been doing? So you've been using basically the 4-on-4 the 4-2-3. Now, when you want to become a dominant side, you sent me. You also mentioned that you brought in players and you want to see these players play games. So you want to fit them into your tactic. You want to dominate the league. Okay, how do you do that? Now, first up, we gotta have I created when I played with Liverpool and Stalybridge. I usually have a vision of how I want my team to play for a few seasons. So this makes it easier for me to fit players into the system. And over time, as the players get better, the system becomes dominant, right? So I started out with a Firefox system, which was more counter-attacking than anything else. And then eventually, when my players got better, it shifted into a liquid system. It was still a 4-1-2-3. And then we started dominating the league. So you want to slowly, look at how your players fit into the overall scheme, and you want to do that accordingly. Now, one of the things about dominating is you want a plan A, plan B within your tactics. So you want to be able to shift up a gear, right? So let's look at the formations. You got a 4-2-3-1. You want to shift it up a gear. What do? Probably attack duties with the 2 fullbacks, maybe an attack duty in midfield, maybe attack duty in a few more attack duties in attacking midfield. Yeah, that's shifting up a gear. Shifting up the mentality is one thing, but you also want to get players into more dangerous positions. So you start looking at doing things like that. And then the challenge with doing things like that is you need to know your own team, right? Everybody wants to do that. Even me, I do that all the time. But how do you know if your team can do it? The first area you look at is actually your defenders. Because if you can sort out defending at the back, right, if the boys are great at defending, then you don't have a problem. So first thing we're gonna do is look at team report. Let's do a squad depth. No, forget the comparison. Let's just look at the backline, right? So this is your backline, your typical 4-man backline. So let's look at Gonzalez. This guy is one of the better defenders. His jumping reach is only 14. In Europe, that's not good enough, right? Champions League quality is almost 15 to 16, like 17 even. So that's just average. His technique is only 7. So can he get better with time? Yes, he probably can. So what do? We develop him and hope that he gets better, right? So if you look at his attributes now, right? So his height is 1.9. So definitely his jumping reach can go up. So what do you do for his training? You know he's gonna be, if he's gonna be playing such an important part of your whole game, he's got to get better with time. Ball playing defender is very good because it gives you technique. What you also want to do is strength. See, strength gives you jumping reach, and so he's gonna improve jumping reach with strength. So he goes on jumping reach. This is the reason why you can be very, very careful with your trading now, because the moment you start adding all these, you go to your squad, you're gonna have a second heavy, right? So one of your other players is gonna get heavy. I mean, you have to go ahead a day and you see him become heavy. Oh yes, he just become heavy. So now he's gone heavy as well. Now double intensity heavy, the injury risk now go up. So this is the reason why you have to manage your training very carefully, because you want to develop the team in a certain direction over time. And you also don't want to knock your players off and see them get, jaded. You need to rest them, or they get injured, and then all the Mickey Mouse shit starts all over again, and you're gonna start going, what the fuck am I gonna do? So goes back to training again. So okay, they're training. But here, after a game, this is kind of heavy overall and outfield, right? So what you do is you look at it, like you may have downloaded this and you go, ground defense, defending. I'm gonna move this here. It's not so heavy. You can do this week, so this becomes a bit, all right, this is not too bad now. Now what I will do is we come in here, we go physical, recovery, physical, rest, right? This is not too bad. So it's still, you still get some training, but you can't go into a save and go like, I want to make sure they all train very well. Then you end up with no players for games. So here again, you got to look at recovery and then physical rest, because they just finished the game. So this is an extremely aggressive week. So you got to manage. Sometimes what I do in this kind of weeks is very simple. I do a lot of match preparation, set piece training, because I go like, why do I want to kill my players for? They just finished this. They just finished a very difficult few weeks. So you manage their training. So here we got like rest, and then here we can do like set piece training for the big game. We can do attacking free kicks. I can do something like this. Match preparation, attacking movement. This is so much more lighter now, the sessions, because if you go into, you gotta understand how they affect intensity, right? So here, this week, look at this. This is how you tell that the intensity is heavy or light. So the injury risk is only slightly increased. They'll be fine. This will be fine. They go into this match. So now this whole period is not such an intensive period anymore. Then they come into this the next day after the Fenerbahce game, light intensity. Then they slowly build back, so you don't run the risk of having heavy injuries. Right? So this is one way of managing your training. And then you've got those heavy workloads. Now you notice some of the players have become heavy, right? So now those players who are heavy, chance of them getting injured gets reduced, especially if these guys are first team players, right? So if these guys are first team players, then the next day after a match, you want to pop in, have a view, check with the physios whether the intensity needs to be reduced, because they will give you match by day analysis. Like they need to watch out. There's a reason why I've gone with this first, because your team has to get better in order for you to be all dominant. You got a lot of great young players, but certain attributes are missing. So instead of going out to the market to buy them, you may be one and a half seasons away from being all conquering. So like this player, Marcelo Gonzalez, he's only 22 years old. 14 jumping reach, he's gonna get there. He's pretty good, but he's got tackling to improve. He's got technique to improve. So is he gonna give you the magic blue pill at the moment for you to win everything? No, he's not. He's gonna still be a liability. Vitakio, jumping reach is only 18 years old. Does he have potential? 1.88. Probably his jumping reach can also he also needs work on his jumping reach as well. So here, instead of passing, I'll go to strength immediately. The priority has to be, he has to be good in the air. He's got to be able to tackle, right? So these are things that you want to focus on those players. These are the weaknesses in their game. Why? Because if you want to play systems like a 4-2-3-1 or 4-1-2-2-1, let's take a look at this tactic, right? So you've got a few tactics here. I'll just load some of your other tactics. If you know, these are my tactics. Um, yeah, we'll just load one of my tactics. Any one of my tactics, I'll remove it. So we go to this. These are your tactics. Right? So you've got this tactic called the Phoenix, right? So okay, now you look at this. If you wanted to punch in, you need a Mazala on attack. This hole needs to be dealt with, right? So you got to get somebody punching in here. So this becomes an all dominant system. Maybe if you want to dominate teams, this guy becomes a DM as well. So on support, so then you get more players moving through the transition. This guy attacking here. Now, what if you use a play with low bravery, low tackling in this position? Immediately when you use a play with low bravery or tackling, then this guy has to be very good defensively. This guy has to be good defensively. This guy has to be very fast. So then you got to look backwards, right? But if this guy is already half decent, right, what will happen is you can play support duties here. This guy can be unleashed without any fear. Then you can actually push forward. You got more options in attack. So this becomes a very aggressive tactic. Now, why is that possible? Because these two guys are good. Now, if these two guys are not so good, this guy goes attacking. If he goes missing, this guy, if he's out of position during an attacking transition, you've only got these two guys left to defend. Therein lies your problem. Your defenders aren't that good. So what's going to happen is crosses come into the box, they won't be able to deal with it. They can't deal with it, you have an issue. So this is the reason why when you want to build all conquering systems, right? Systems that can win 200 games. You can go on a 200 game unbeaten streak for 2 to 3 seasons, which is so possible in FM19. It's hilarious right now. I mean, they're not just my saves. I get saves sent in by people who are on 250 game winning streaks in Portugal, which is like, okay, like wow, okay, and this is impressive. So there are saves like this, but they all have that common denominator is there. The common denominator is that they all have these pretty good central defenders. Right, so now you have this situation that you need to resolve first before you become all conquering. So if you want to get all conquering, let's figure out how you're going to be playing with the players that you have. So your squad depth defenders, we've gone to Gonzalez. Now we got Vicari. Vicari is not too bad, but notice he's a bit. When you're 31 years old, naturally you're going to be less brave. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm speaking for myself maybe over here, but his acceleration is fantastic. His work rate is okay. You know, he might not get back in time. He might want to get back, you know, but he may not be able to do it. So he's a pinch hitter. He's a first team player, but yeah, you can play him, but he's going to be a pinch hitter, right? Meaning he comes off the bench most of the time. Then you got Dele Olio. Now, Dele Olio is definitely a fullback more than anything else, right? So his jumping is only 9, so we can, like, you know, he's going to be a world-class fullback one day, right? So let's just leave him there. Then you got Ditakio. We already spoken about him and how his jumping reach needs and his technique needs to improve. And then we got Angelieri. Again, common denominator among most of your defenders is they're not brave. Like I like my defenders to be brave, right? I need them to go in for a challenge when it's like do or die, get in there and put in a challenge. So you got that dilemma right now. Okay, then we're looking at your other players here. So these are your central defenders. Your central defenders are the weakest part of your entire system. So then you got your midfielders. You got Felix Priso. Felix Priso is definitely a player you can use for the rest of your entire life. He's a key player. He makes for a fantastic anchorman. He's got vision. He's got passing. He's got pretty good first touch. Right? He's a fighter. So he can play as an anchorman. He can play as a DM and support. He's got no off the ball to speak of. So Segundo Volante is out. Regista is out. You really want players. The reason why I say out, I mean, I'm not saying they can't play in their role. Of course they can, but whenever you play a first player on support duties, if he has good off the ball, he becomes an asset in the attacking transition. Right? So you need that if you are thinking of playing players in support. So this guy becomes your holding player. Then we got Elena. Elena, this guy's an AMC. Right? He's just built to be an attacking midfielder. He's got decent off the ball. He's got vision. He's got some work rate. He's got good balance. The ball is going to stay on his feet. He can dribble and take on players. He can be a Mazala on attack, but he cannot tackle. So because if you wanted to play him, then he shifts up. He shifts even higher up the pitch. Maybe AMC, Trequartista. He can play in those roles. Okay, playmaker. In the final third. But on a 4-2-3-1, I don't like playing the AMC role as a playmaker. It slows down your entire attack. And teams can just come back and defend. So he can be a Mazala on attack. The moment you play him as a Mazala on attack, can you? Because we just discussed this. Your defenders aren't good enough to support a Mazala on attack in your tactic. So your 4-1-2-2-1 is not strong enough. You're going to give up goals on whichever flank he's playing on. The moment you make the defender, you give him an inverted wingback on defend role, it kills your attacking transitions, right? So instead of adding value to your attacking transitions, actually putting him in the pitch kind of limits your options. So he can only be played in a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-1-2-2 diamond. You can play him in a 4-4-2 narrow diamond, a 4-3-1-2, or a 4-2-3-1. So that these are the tactics. And Kakare has got he's got a question mark his bravery. At least he's not too bad. When you play him, you gotta watch out for him to see whether he does he not going for the challenge. Or other than that, he's perfectly okay. Then you got Pedro Duis, probably a very good rotational player. Then you got Pasquini. Pasquini is not a bad player. I like him. I used him before. He's definitely a player that you can use, like, you know, without a shadow of a doubt. I'd probably be using him because he's a very good playmaker. He's got the ball at his feet, so he won't lose it. So we've got these players here. These are your players. So you look at this. Elena Philip, and this player, what's his name? These are your two playmakers in the middle, right? And you got another player called Delmas. Delmas is another one that can be played in the AMC role. So you can play a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-3-1-2, and then up top you got strikers. So if you wanted to begin with, this is how you do it. So tactically, if you want to play this system, Mazala on attack, right? Anchorman on defense, and you pray to God he gets back in time. Maybe, yes, you can pull it off. So you probably end up playing like that. But you've been using this tactic so far, which is your 4-3-1-2. You can play a Mazala, a Carriello, Philip, but you know, if we play him as a Mazala, that as you know, if this guy goes attack, this Mazala goes attack, you don't have the defenders to play this tactic. It can't be done, right? You're gonna leave too many gaps behind. These guys are not good enough. So let's take a look at some of your matches this season to see where you might have struggled. So let's look at this. You played a 4-1-4-1 against Udinese. Who did you line up with? I have a skin that will actually tell me your roles and duties. Let me see if I can pull that up. All right, so we've changed the skin, but hopefully this one shows me your roles and duties. So here we go. Yes, we see the roles and duties for your team right now. So you use a DLF on attack, inside forward and support. You use this guy. You got a Mazala on attack. You use Ramazzotti. Now Ramazzotti doesn't have much bravery. Passing is okay, decisions okay, vision okay. I've used him as well. You punch this way, you got a playmaker here. Now notice one thing, both of them both of them have got low bravery. So if the transition goes bad and they've got a cover for these two guys, there might be an issue. So this wingback, and I use this tactic. Yes, I have used this, but when I used it with my saves, both these guys can tackle. And this guy is super fast. Alaves is 15. That's okay, not too bad. So you set the tactic up like that. You might struggle against a team that's got a very strong midfield and is willing to go in for the challenge. Let's look at how your match stats went in this game. Possession-wise, you dominated the game. You created one clear-cut chance. But why did you concede your goal? So Cellini brings the ball up, plays it through. Gonzalez, Takio. This is almost caused by your players not coming. Yeah, see, your players are so high up in attack, right? So this is a failed transition, right? So you've lost the ball. This guy is very high up. These guys are actually, you look at their feet, right? They're facing forward already. Then they run backwards. So the easier way would be to look at it like that. As you can see, he's lost this player. The ball goes behind him, and this guy is having to chase. Yep, you got an acceleration problem, and your defensive line was very high for that game. So you lost out. You couldn't do the deed against them because your players were not very good at handling the defensive line. So if you were looking at the players themselves, So here we've got your player ratings. We've got 8.3 for this player. Then we're looking at the two. Thackeray 6.8 and Ramzotti 6.5. Not surprised. And then players, tackles for Lecce in midfield. We're looking at their tackles. If they had to do tackles, like tackles lost one tackle, he lost it. Kakare won one tackle. Did they do a lot of interceptions? No interceptions. One interception? They didn't break up any of the play in midfield. So this is sad. Let's look at Bologna. You played a 4-2-3-1 wide here. Let's look at your formation. You got Priso, Zaniolo. Okay, this is not bad. Passing, vision, decisions, work rate. Priso, ball winning midfielder. Work rate 17, gets around. Okay, pretty decent as a player, but question would have been this. Fateh and Delma are on attack duty, so the question is whether he got up there to support. We now look at your key pass combinations for Lecce. So we got Delmas 83. We got Nicolo Zaniolo with passes, combinations. We got your two midfielders. We got two midfielders and your AMC. We got AMC. It didn't do too badly, right? Again here, the team played quite well. There are some key pass combinations. 4-2-3-1 definitely looks like wasn't too bad a system for you to use in this particular case. Inverted wingback came in here to give you a bit more support. Not a bad choice. Palermo 1-0. Then you played Leipzig. What formation did you use here? Well, you used this, which is this is definitely liquid. Yes, this is my liquid system. Now, if you use the liquid system, and if you these guys are going to come up in support and they're going to overlap. These guys have to be able to tackle. Bravery 5, no tackling 6. Paschini, he can do well, but he's a playmaker. But you got Philippe here. You're trying to play Philippe in this system, it won't work. And then you got this guy, half decent. Okay, he's not that bad. But then you got these two guys who got to defend. You got Diaz is coming up here, hoping. But once he overlaps, you got a problem. You can use this system, but you can't use Louis Philippe in this tactic. So the question mark is, and then if you want to play with Louis Philippe, if you can't play with Louis Philippe in this position, that's just it. Okay, you can't do it. It cannot be done. You can't play Delma, Louis Philippe. The three players that you like, they cannot fit into the system because they're not good enough as Mazzalas on attack, even though the game says they can be, right? It's the fundamental issue that you have with the system. So let me load liquid to the system. We got liquid. This is a slightly different version of liquid. Yeah, it's the same liquid version. If you quick pick, your S-man will say Zaniolo. Okay, Zaniolo is not so bad. Yeah, you can use him. Gets into opposition, moves into chance. He's a very good option for this position. Kakare, and Priso. So actually I would have used this group as well if I wanted to use the liquid system. Right, so Abdel Fatah is okay. He's coming on the right foot and got Louis Philippe. This is a different one because I'm using an inside forward and a winger on support with an F9. But this is the only way. This is probably the only group of players you can use in the liquid system. So now the next thing we want to do is we want to see how your team did. So if you want to use liquid, this is one option, but I won't be using liquid. I'll try to use several tactics, right? The 4-2-3-1, the 4-3-1-2, and the 4-4-2 diamond to see how this team can be played. All right, so we've played a few matches. After your Leipzig defeat, we played Torino. We used the 4-3-1-2. This is the 4-3-1-2 I used. The roaming playmaker, Mazzala, shadow striker, AF, DLFS, fullbacks on support. The tactic featured overlapping instructions, right? So we did okay. I won't say we were brilliant in this game, but yeah, Torino had a player sent off, and that's the thing about a 4-3-1-2 diamond, right? They played on a super narrow pitch like this for the entirety of the match. It was very, very annoying. So we were trying to break them down for the largest part of the game. We were camping. We were in their half a lot, but it was pretty hard to break them down. In fact, they gave up a corner through. They gave up a penalty through a corner. And then against Napoli, we reverted to using something different. We used a 4-2-3-1 here. We got a winger, trequartista inside forward, pressing forward, CM support, DLPD, inverted wing back, and a fullback on support. And the goals were okay. I won't say they were phenomenal. They were just decent, right? So we had Delmas playing a nice deep ball for Yonsian, your striker. And then we had one more goal that came through a transition. So I'm more interested to see how this transition developed. Okay, so here we had them attacking in the for the second goal. They were attacking us down this flank. So we have our players all coming back to defend. Good coverage for the areas. Then this is your fullback, inverted wing back, driving up. Gets the ball to Duke. Duke goes down the flanks and drops in a far post cross, which is something that was pretty decent. And then our third goal was actually a free kick. Yeah, Torino match stats. I think the match stats were half decent. Lecce at 53% possession. We were okay in this match. I think we had a miss. We didn't have a missed penalty. Then against Fenerbahce, we also played the 4-2-3-1, the same 4-2-3-1 again against Fenerbahce. The CM on support here, winger attack. This is we basically build up play around here and to release these two players, right? So Fenerbahce, I think the goals, we got to see the goals now. The first goal came off a penalty. So the incident for the penalty probably came a lot earlier. So we had a corner. And yeah, they brought us down in the corner. They brought us down here, and then we had a penalty that was converted by Jupe. And then the second goal wasn't too bad, right? They couldn't clear the danger. You see the trequartista and the, I don't know, I can't remember, it's a winger. They're getting away, and then Jupe is inside. He plays the ball out to Milic, crosses the ball to Priso drives in, Fata plays it to Friso, and then Delmas scores the goal. Pretty simple second goal. Match stats. So this game, late Fenerbahce never came out. They were playing a very defensive tactic, so we just had to dial it up. And then it is Fiorentina. Fiorentina were a very annoying side. They were pretty tough to beat on the day. In fact, Fiorentina came charging back in the second half with about 10 minutes left. We had to try different kinds of things in this game. But it was not an easy game for us. I think we scored from a set piece in the end against Fiorentina. We dominated the game for large parts, and we had a very simple goal. Okay, just scored here. I won't say it's a fantastic performance. Then I decided, well, let's try a different tactic. Here I am playing with a formation that can bring Delmas into the game. So it's got Trequartista, Mazzala, CM on support, Anchorman, wingback on support. And we tried to see if the team can do any different. So in this match, we were dominating for large parts. Again, set piece needed. So for me personally speaking, you can use any of these systems, right? A 4-2-3-1, 4-3-1-2, 4-1-3-2, 4-1-2-2-1 also. I probably, if I wanted to dominate sides, the system I'm more likely to use, if I were to go back to your systems, it's going to be something like this, right? So we could use a Anchorman, you can use a DM on support, you can get players up in as inverted wingbacks to push up into this area. This guy can be released as a Mazzala on attack. This guy can be an inverted wingback sitting in here on defend duty, so he's not too far away. So he comes inside this area. We can turn this guy into a defensive midfielder on support. We can turn this guy into an inverted wingback on support. He will overlap this way. We can turn this, because you already got a winger, you got an inside forward here. You can play a target man, deep line forward support, or a false nine. Now do a split block on all three of them. This guy can be a roaming. You want a roaming playmaker because you want him to move left or right or come deeper to support. Basically, roaming playmakers will make a lot of space for the DM on support to punch through the middle. This can be used for your teams. Much shorter passing, not really. I'll play on a shorter, maybe on a standard tempo. Overlap instructions for this guy, because he will overlap. If he's on defend duty, it'll be a lot safer for him to overlap. Then you can do an overlap right on the right flank as well if you find that teams are sitting back too much. Otherwise, you can just uncheck the overlap instruction against much better teams to change this guy into an anchor man, right? So this is one way of playing the Phoenix. Your Phoenix, you'll have to change it around quite a fair bit actually. Standard line of engagement, high defensive line. I would remove all this, right? Because you are using a super keeper. I'll turn him on defend duty. So you got all your players all set up. Now, the system I used with Lecce was a 4-2-3-1. I think that you can play with a 4-2-3-1, but we were a bit, how would I put this? We were a bit conservative in the way we were playing. We weren't pushing very hard. We were using a pressing forward on attack duty, using a trequartista, a winger on attack, and inside forward on support, a central midfielder on support who's been told to shoot less often, roam from position, stay wider, so he's going to hang around this area. It's very similar to the Storm system. Inverted wingback on support who comes inside here. We've got overlap right only on the right flank because we don't want this guy to overlap. We just want him to be in this area. And if necessary, you'll cut through to the middle here. So we maintain the width coming from the winger on attack. Now, I wouldn't use a lower, I would use a standard line or a higher line of engagement for most sides to counter with a regroup. So this becomes one other option for you to use in your system. So you could use a 4-2-3-1, or you could use your Phoenix system. But in a Phoenix system, how you choose your players is going to be important. It's more likely going to be some combination of Zanilio, Kakare, and another player, right? The Delma cannot play in this system. So that's the only downside. This player will not be able to fit into this system. He can't fit here, which is a real pity. Unless you change the role here to a playmaker, then maybe. Or you play with a 4-3-1-2 system, which is also an option for you. So you could play with a 4-3-1-2, like the one I suggested earlier. With those without any PIs. I didn't put any PIs in that. So you go like 4-3-1-2 here with a shadow striker, a CM on defend. Maybe I think did I use a Mazzala on attack here, and probably you could use a central midfielder on support. You could use a DLP on support. Yeah, you can do DLP on support, Mazzala on attack, fullback on support. This fullback should be given. This guy can be a wingback on support. He can overlap naturally, but you remove the overlap shot, so he'll come up and support this guy a lot. Here on the right side, he could be a fullback on support or a wingback on support without the overlap. He'll be closer to the Mazzala. Basically, this is how he would play. So you could use a more standard passing tempo. Counter regroup can be an option. You could be counter press depending on the opposition. A high line of standard line of engagement, high line of engagement. Standard defensive line is probably safe for you, but here this is the problem because of your players. They're not that good, right? So your defenders need help. So you end up doing something like this. And when you end up doing something like this, it becomes then your tactics starts to struggle because you don't have very good target men in front to hold up the ball. So if you wanted to play with a 4-3-1-2, it's a big risk. So this is the reason why it's either a 4-2-3-1 like this, or something that's very close to your original Phoenix system with a few tweaks. Well, I hope you enjoyed this edition of Gamechanger. If you have any questions, please look me up on Twitter at Bustthenet or addicted2fm.com, our website. Once again, I want to thank all my patrons for their continued support of this channel. You make these kind of shows possible for the rest of the community. You guys take care. Have a good one. I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.